Good morning. One chilly fall afternoon of my freshman year, I was listening to music with my friend in my dorm room, and Can We Talk by Tevin Campbell started playing on my speaker. I started jamming, and I asked my friend if she knew the song. Not because it was a popular song, but because I assumed that she listened to R&B since she was black, like me. When she said that she never heard of the song and that she didn't really like R&B, I was pretty shocked. Growing up in the Bronx with cracked sidewalks and bodegas on every corner, my neighbors and I sang every Aaliyah song that you could think of, and we would all hop on the train to go to family barbecues and dance our nights away to Mary J. Blige. Sneakers were also a very big thing. My cousins would wake up early just to make sure that they could cop the new Retro 12 Jordans, which I personally always thought were ugly, but that's none of my business. These moments define not only my childhood, but my identity and my blackness. Transitioning from the Bronx to a predominantly white private school, where students came from all over the world, yet still seemed to know each other, was difficult, especially since I was shy. To bond with the kids of color, specifically the black kids, I tried to draw from my experiences from home. I tried talking about hip hop or checking for the newest Jordan's release, but when my friend said that she didn't like R&B and would rather look for Sperry's instead, I wasn't sure how I could connect with her or anyone else for that matter. How was I supposed to bond with some of the few black students on campus when they couldn't even relate to me? Conflicted from this interaction, I realized that I grew up with a very limited understanding of what being black was. Going to Episcopal, however, completely changed not only my perception of black people, but how I perceived myself. After the first couple of months at Episcopal, I met black people who listened to indie music or those who didn't really understand my urban slang. For example, I realized that the term "it's brick," which means it's freezing, is not a universal term. These instances were small, but they fundamentally challenged who I was. I started getting frustrated that all of the black kids didn't share the same upbringing that I had, and I was really embarrassed that I had forced my narrow ideas onto them. As my time here progressed, I realized that I needed to stop limiting myself and other people because of race. So I joined cross country, which is nothing like running for the 5 train at home. I became a vegetarian, and I broadened my music taste, learning to love classic rock and pop, especially Queen and Billy Joel. These were all things I never would associate with being black. By embracing my personal growth, I finally began to see the diversity of the black community as beautiful instead of intimidating. I also learned how much more there was to discover about myself. When Thanksgiving break came up, it was the first time I would be going home, and I was thrilled to link up with my friends and talk about my new experience at Episcopal. As we were window shopping in Urban Outfitters in Manhattan, I was catching them up and doing a combination of gushing and complaining about my new boarding school. It was amazing living on a dorm, and everybody smiled a lot, but Virginia wasn't as warm as I thought it would be, and I always lost clothes in the laundry room. As we wandered around the store, I heard Queen's "We Are the Champions" begin to play on the speaker, and I began to sing along. My friends started craning their necks towards me in confusion and looked at me as if I had completely lost my mind. They asked, "How do you know this song?" "Oh, right, you're white now, huh?" When they said that, I was taken aback and completely offended. I replied, "Has my skin changed? Am I white because of a song?" Boarding school definitely opened a new world of discovery and growth, but it didn't close off my world at home. I never forgot my roots, and I was still the girl who listened to R&B religiously, ran straight to the sale section when I was shopping, and said bacon, egg, and cheese as one word instead of 4. Reflecting on this moment, though, I realized that I had treated my black friends at school the same way. I thought that they weren't black enough because they couldn't relate to my own black experience. And as I realized this, I felt stuck in between my 2 worlds of boarding school here in Virginia and home in New York City. For the first time ever, I felt like I wasn't black enough when I went home. I definitely assimilated to some of the culture here at EHS. I smiled at people a lot more, and it felt like I started talking about politics all the time. When I went home, though, I felt the need to suppress some of the customs I adopted here, and vice versa. If my friends from home said something that didn't sit right with me, I would ignore it, silently trying to prove to them that I was still the same person. It was exhausting. I always felt like I was hiding and lying not only to myself, but to my friends. I wasn't sure who I was trying to be and for whom. Over time, though, I realized that the only way I could connect both of my worlds was through authenticity. Suppressing myself distanced me from people I knew would love me regardless. I am Shaunjaney, who loves tofu and social justice and running sometimes and music in the Bronx and in Virginia. Excuse me. By fully embracing myself, I finally gave my friends, here at EHS and at home, the space to be their most genuine selves, no matter what race they were. I finally came to learn that listening to different music and acquiring new hobbies doesn't take away from my Blackness. It strengthens it, and it is my own embodiment of diversity. Of course, my friends at home still question things that I do, because at the end of the day, they aren't exposed to the same things that I am here at Episcopal. But one thing I'm proud to say is that every summer, when I come home, my friends and I lounge in the grass of Central Park, soaking in the warm sun, and always play Queen, with Lauryn Hill next on the queue, of course, and they love it. They still get to tease me about Billy Joel, but at the end of the day, they're still learning, and so am I. Thank you.